A beautiful young woman meeting a tall, dark stranger is the start of many romances, and also the start of many crime thrillers. What happens when you fuse those two genres into a single taut, dark, romantic thriller? Then you get a glimpse of a story written by the first author in this year's marathon. I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones. Welcome to the first interview of Author Awareness April. Hey, welcome back to The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations, author interviews, and creative writing tips. I have a great interview lined up for you in this first episode of the marathon, but before I jump into today's content, I want to share a few announcements with you. First up, today, April 5th, I'll be doing a book signing at the Barnes & Noble in Visalia, California from 2 to 4 p.m. I'll be there with copies of The Heirs of Menenias and my newest book, Midnight Playground. Now, if you're local to Kings County or Tulare County, I'd love to see you at the bookstore, meet you, and if you'd like, sign a book for you. Second, I have another writing workshop 2 weeks later on April 19th. This month, I will be discussing how to write thrillers, as a matter of fact. I'll be down at the Hanford branch of the Kings County Library from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So if you're local, come on down. The class is absolutely free. If you aren't local, don't worry. I've got you covered. I'll be live streaming the workshop on YouTube for those of you who want to join online. Lastly, Free Comic Book Day is coming up on Saturday, May 3rd. Many comic shops participate in this annual event where you get special copies and promos for new comic book titles being released over the course of the next year. I'll be down at DJ's Collectibles in downtown Hanford with copies of all of my books. There will be other vendors, and the local chapter of the 501st Vader's Fist cosplay organization will be there since Star Wars Day is that same weekend. 3 great local events, 3 great opportunities to get copies of my books. Now, let's get aware of our first author. I connected with this first interviewee through Instagram because we had some mutual connections. I appreciated the philanthropic endeavor that she has applied to the proceeds that she earns from selling copies of her work. Please welcome Lindsay Schraad Keeling. Lindsay, thank you for joining me on the show. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So tell me about what it is that you write and the books that you have been producing.
So I write mainly dark fiction, which I know is a very broad term. My debut novel, The Funeral Doctor's Wife, came out September 3rd, and it is a dark romantic thriller. And it is based around the funeral industry, which I was in for 10 years. So I come from that background. And so I think a lot of my themes are dark and, about death, just because that was my life for 10 years.
Sure.
So yeah, a lot of dark things that I write.
So does your book lean more towards the thriller side of things, or does it lean more towards the romantic side, or is there like a healthy balance?
There's a healthy balance, but definitely probably more towards the thriller side, I would say. One of my friends asked me the other day, he said, you don't say dark romance, you say dark romantic thriller. I said, yes, there's a huge difference in dark romance versus dark romantic thriller, because dark romance is a lot of smut and a lot of,
a lot of the 50 Shades of Grey type stuff.
Yes, exactly. And that's not what I write. So
that's really cool. So how'd you get into writing? Was this something that you've always wanted to do, or did you just after spending 10 years working in a funeral home, you're like, I want to write a book about dead people?
I've been writing since I was a little kid. So I remember being in the first or second grade, and I wrote a book about mermaids. And I gave it to the teacher, and she put it on, I think it was a piano, or she put it somewhere on display, and that just like lit like this fire in me, like this little light bulb went off in my head. And so I literally have a box of books that I wrote as a child, just full to the brim, that my mom gave me. And they're wild. They're absolutely wild. Um, but yeah, so I've been writing my whole life, really. So, but I just got published. I had self-published a book in 2020, I think it was,
Hmm.
with a friend. I co-authored a book. It was a memoir about her son. But this is like my first debut book, my baby. This is my
Yeah.
baby, like my book. So
That's
yeah.
cool. What are some of your writing inspirations? Do you draw heavily from other books that you've read? Do you draw from music? Do you from life experiences? What fuels that writing?
Definitely music. I make playlists for every book I write. So, and they're usually really depressing. So they're full of sad songs.
So a lot
But
of My Chemical Romance,
yeah.
Bleeding
um,
Out Dudes, goth years.
yes, yes. My high school emo years. Um, yeah. But yeah, but music definitely. Like I'll hear a song and I can create like a whole plot around it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I definitely draw from that. Some real life experiences, yes. Like they inspire me, but I don't like copy them and any of that. I just like I get inspired by real life experiences, but music is what really inspires me to write.
Obviously, with writing, there's going to be challenges that pop up. What has been one of the hardest parts or the biggest challenges that you have faced in putting together your writing?
Finding time, honestly. Finding time to do everything that I want to do is very challenging. That's one reason why every once in a while I'll pull an all-nighter and do some writing there. But yeah, just finding the time because, working and uh, keeping up with the house and, being a wife and, being a dog mom. I don't know if that, really counts, but, I keep myself very busy.
Yeah.
So finding the time to write is very challenging for me. And then running into like writer's block is very uh, detrimental, I guess, to what like my goals are. Because like right now I'm on this writing spree. I wrote 28,000 words in a week, and I was just so excited. I wrote like a whole first draft, and well, I mean, like the meat and potatoes of it, first
Yeah.
draft in a week. Um, but yeah, so as far as challenges go, I would definitely say time for sure.
Trying to find the time, especially when
Mhm.
there's so many things trying to pull at your attention, it can be
Yes,
really, really challenging.
yeah.
But the flip side of that coin, if you had any advice for other aspiring authors, what would you tell them? What advice do you wish that you had been given when you were starting off?
I wish that I would have been told about craft books way before I got my MFA.
Hmm.
I didn't read any craft books until I attended Southern New Hampshire University. And then, we had assigned reading. So we had, I think it was like story engineering. We had Save the Bird, or not Save the Bird, not Save the Cat, Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott.
Okay.
And then like Save the Cat Writes a Novel, things like that. So I wish I would have gotten into those a lot earlier because I think I could have refined my skill a lot faster. Um, but also just read as much as you can. I read so much as a child, and now that I'm an adult, I don't have the time to read as much as I want to.
Right.
I use that time writing. But that's the advice I would give to someone who wants to be a writer is to definitely read as much as possible. Read what you want to write. Read the genre you want to write, and yeah, just I mean that's all I have, I guess.
No, that's great advice. I mean, we're getting ready to wrap up here, Lindsay. Last question: how can people connect with you, and how can they get copies of your work?
So my work can be found on Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, all that fun stuff. I'm on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Facebook, I really just kind of keep to family and friends.
Mhm.
But yeah, find me on all the other platforms. I try to keep a social media presence. One of my TikToks went viral a few months ago, and it had nothing to do with writing at all. It was a sympathy card I put together for a teacher that my mom did not let me give her. She like kept it behind at the house when it was like in 1999. And it basically said, computer teacher, I'm sorry your mom died, but everyone has to die. And today it was your mom's turn to die. And so that went viral. And so people, Newsweek, and like one other thing picked it up. And so now when you Google my name, it comes up as author. And so I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I took a picture of it. So if you Google my name, you can find it. And I'm the sympathy card girl. So
Good to know.
But yeah, so if you just Google my name, Lindsay Schraad Keeling, you can find me and we can connect and be friends.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lindsay. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. A huge thank you to Lindsay for being the first interviewee of this season's marathon. Now, if you're interested in picking up copies of her work or connecting with her through social media, you can find those links down in the video description. If you want to catch the uncut, unedited version of this conversation, consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, where you'll have access to all of my uncut interviews from day one for as little as $1 a month. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and click the bell for notifications on new videos. I'll be back next week with the second interview of Author Awareness April, featuring fantasy writer Danielle Harrington. I've been Garrett, and I'll see you then.